All right, guys. So we have created our VPC and subnets in the previous two videos. So what I'm going to do now, as a next step, obviously these subnets are private, like they are unable to talk to the external world. That's the default behavior from the AWS perspective, that AWS wants to create any subnet or VPCs, they will keep everything private, right? Because that's the security practice. And if you want to allow the network traffic, you need to do some additional configuration. And in that configuration, one of the most important bit is the Internet Gateway. Internet Gateway is a virtual device that will allow your VPC to communicate with the external world, right? So now you can imagine that if you have, let's say, the three-tier architecture where you want to keep your web servers in the private public VPCs, that means which is going to communicate with the world, but your application servers and the database servers are going to be private. So you can imagine how we generally segregate that workload depends upon the security requirement, right? So generally we won't expose our databases or our data asset to the world, right? So that's the security best practice. If someone wants to communicate, we generally use the route of the web application, or in some cases we use the application server to allow the communication. It really depends upon what kind of solution you are building, right? So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna create the internet gateway to allow the communication with our subnets, right? Because these subnets are going to contain the virtual machine, and those virtual machine cannot communicate to the internet. No internet traffic comes in or out, right? So that's going to be a concern for us, because all the communication is gonna remain private within the VPC if you want to configure the internet access, right? So in order to do the internet access, we need to perform a couple of steps. So the very first step is we're going to create an internet gateway. So in your AWS console on your left hand side, you're gonna see we have the internet gateways available. All you need to go in here, and you can see we already have one default gateway which is available, and that has been already been attached to the VPC. And if I come in here, so you can see this VPC is the default VPC, right? So that's all the pre-configured setting that Amazon provides you, just if you want to use it from the understanding perspective, right? But obviously I'm going to create a new internet gateway. So let's hit in, it's going to be very simple. Let's say public, or just call it development internet gateway, or even you can call it a generic one. Let's see, internet gateway. Yeah. So, and it's the type currently is going to be dev. That's right, because that's going to be defined on the VPC level, right? So that's pretty much it. That's how simple it is. So if I just hit create internet gateway, you're gonna see my internet gateway is ready, right? So now it is not a right now. The internet gateway, if I come in here, you can see it is detached, right? I mean, it's not able to link to any VPC, right? It's not able to allow the communication from any VPC. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna first attach it to a VPC so it can build that relationship to allow the traffic to reach out to internet, right? So just click attach to VPC, and if we can just click on the search button, the beauty is that it automatically bring the list of VPC that you have created, right? So that's my VPC. And by the way, you can see if you want to later automate, you can do it through the CLI or these SDKs that Amazon has provided to us, right? So, and it's also showing you the option, like you can run it through the PowerShell. PowerShell obviously have a different syntax, right? So that's pretty much from the scripting perspective, right? Let me just attach the internet gateway to my VPC, and now if I come in here, I'm gonna see my internet gateway is attached to my default VPC, right? So let's go inside and we can see that that's the information which is available, and now it's showing that it is attached to my development machine. Now the next step, we're gonna set up the route table, and route table actually allow the traffic from source to destination, or guide the traffic from source to destination, right? Without without the route table, it's pretty hard to find out, okay, once the traffic starts flowing from one point and it wants to reach to the other point, how it's going to do it, right? So if you don't have the route table, that is not going to actually guide your traffic to from one point to another, right? In order to provide that guidance, so in this context, obviously, if my subnets or in my VPC, the subnets wants to communicate to the internet, obviously I need to set up a route, right? I need to set up a route that will tell, okay, that traffic is going or initiating from my subnet and it's moving all the way to the internet, and even the internet traffic is coming into my subnet through that route table, right? By the way, just keep in mind that contain one security aspect that we're gonna discuss later on, that once we set up the route table, that will allow bi-directional communication. The traffic can come from the internet to my VPC, and from VPC it can go back to the internet, right? Which might not be the requirement in some of the cases, right? So just keep that point in your mind, and later on we're gonna fix how we're gonna fix it, depend upon how we're gonna build our solution. All right, so in order to create the route table, you can see we already have a route table. And like all other options, you have seen that the Amazon provide us the default route table. So you can see, because we have two virtual machines, so you can see we have two route table which are linked to our two VPC. So not virtual machine, VPCs, right? And now what I need to I can update this route table, and I can add the information in here or add the route in here, but I would prefer not to touch the default route table, because all the default setting, just keep them vanilla, because you don't want to tinker it just from the I would say security or effective administration perspective, right? So we can create a route table by ourselves. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna create the route table, and the very first thing, yeah, it's going to be public access table VPC. I'm going to select, yeah, that's my development VPC, and I'm gonna show you, yeah, public route table. Yeah, it's the type again, it's going to be used for dev test instead of only dev, right? So let's hit the route table. And by the way, we can script all these as part of the infrastructure as a code, and you will see how effective it is, because generally we won't use the console a lot. We have the dedicated script that we just modify and run and build the infrastructure through those scripts, right? And we use the Terraform or even the CLI or PowerShell for these purposes. AWS also provide the another very powerful tool called CloudFormation that can do all these things by designing and by generating the script that you can modify, and you can reuse it as many times as you want, right? We'll see how we can do it in the upcoming video. All right, so our route table is ready, and by the way, you can see at the moment it only allow the communication within the VPC. So you can see that that's the IP scheme that we have defined in the start, in the first video. Once we create the VPC, and you can see all the traffic is going to be local. That means every request that's going to initiate within that VPC, it will remain local, like it cannot reach out externally to any other service, right? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna actually add some additional routes. So let's see. Yeah, I'm going to be, sorry, not edit route. Sorry, my fault. I'm going to create a new route, right? Selection. So let me see. Yeah, sorry. I missed the option. There was the default route. Yeah. So now all the traffic which is going to be initiated from zero route, that means any other traffic which is going to be beside my local traffic, it should go to the internet gateway. And as soon as I select it, you're going to see internet gateway. I'm able to see my internet gateway that I have created it, right? So let's select the internet gateway and let me just save it. And now it's going to create that route. So now we have two routes. One is for local, all the local traffic will remain internally, but any traffic which is beside the local, it will go through the internet gateway. So now our PPC is able to communicate to the internet, but that traffic is going to be bidirectional, that it can reach out and the external traffic can reach in. But right now we have set it up from the VPC perspective, right? The route table has been configured up to VPC, so we need to attach it, and I'm going to show you what's the difference. So we're gonna so you can see in here, you're gonna see all your subnets, and like I mentioned, your subnet generally remain private until unless you you associate them to the internet gateway through the route table, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna attach one subnet, and I'm gonna create in the upcoming videos two virtual machines in both subnet, and I'll show you how it's we're gonna see. One will allow us to communicate with the external world, the other one will not allow us to communicate with the external world, right? So let's do it. And what I'll do, I'll just allow development subnet to associate with this route table, right? So now you can see this route table is now associated with my development subnet, right? So now it's going to allow my subnet to communicate with the internet, right? And while I'm not explicitly allowing the attaching the other subnet with this route table, right? So that's how we generally do the routing for our subnet. So now theoretically, if in the upcoming video, if I create a virtual machine in my development VPC, I'm able to communicate to the internet, right? So that's pretty much it. That's how we generally configure the route table and setting up the internet access for our VPCs in AWS. If you have any question, please feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I believe you're gonna like the video, and thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next steps.